Hello, dearest audience. You're watching The First. Video games have been slowly becoming more popular and relevant in human culture for the past few years, and slowly, they're becoming a product that everyone can experience. According to the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, which is the American body that provides video games with ratings such as E for Everyone or T for Teen, 67% of US households played video games in 2010. And out of all those gamers, about 40% were female. And while 50% of all those gamers were between the ages of 18 and 49, the other 50% was split evenly between those who were younger than 18 and those who were 50 and older. This means that no matter who you are, video games are relevant to you. However, like any other medium, not all that is available will be interesting to you. In order to make finding the right games for you easier, I've come up with 4 steps on how to find the right video game for you to play. There are a lot of games available, so let's see if we can find something that you'll enjoy. To start, we should go through the first step. Establish your experience. Like reading, video games are designed to accommodate people with different levels of skill. You wouldn't give a 3rd grader a book intended to be read by a college student. And similarly, a new gamer shouldn't be given an incredibly difficult game, like Dark Souls. The categories that I personally use to identify someone's skill level are beginner, proficient, and expert. Good games for beginners are games that have simple controls and don't really allow the player to fail. Games for proficient gamers are the most common games released, and are generally games that have a bit more complicated controls and a little bit more challenge, that make failure a possibility, but it's still able to be passed by those who are willing to continue. Finally, there are games for experts. These games can only be described by myself as teeth-grindingly difficult, where only people who dedicate their time and efforts into the game will pass. Personally, I'm a proficient gamer, so the games that I will primarily play aren't incredibly difficult, but they do provide some challenge. The controls can be complicated at times, but they are reasonably understandable, at least to me. From here, we can move on to our second step, which is step 2, selecting your genre. Like books, movies, and even songs, video games can fall under various genres. The best way to find out what game genre you will most likely enjoy is to look at the other various activities that you like to do. Ask yourself questions like, what are my favorite books or movies? Do I like hanging out with people more, or would I rather be by myself? Do I like working with other people, or do I like competition better? Questions like these can help you narrow down what games will mean the most to you. Now, as for myself, I know that I prefer to be by myself over being in a large crowd of people. This would mean that I would most likely prefer games that are single player, or designed to be experienced by one person. This doesn't mean that I should never look into multiplayer games, but I will personally have a better experience in a single player game. What movies and shows do I like to watch? Well, I'm a fan of the show Gravity Falls, and I like superhero movies, so that means I probably would like games that involve adventure, exploration, and action. Now that you know what kind of game you are looking for, it is time for step 3. Ask someone you know. Now, this step may not always be able to be done, considering not everyone has friends that are really into video games. But if you do, asking them is a great way to get a couple of suggestions. It really is as simple as just using all the information you previously gathered and asking them about it. Personally, I would ask someone if they knew of a game that had a little bit of challenge, some action, and a wide world that I could explore and have an adventure in. My friends would probably have a few different games that they would suggest. And that is when I would continue on to step 4, research. No matter what game you decide that you have an interest in, you should always do some amount of research before you get it and play it for yourself. The best thing that you can do is find footage of someone else playing the game. What you should ask yourself is, does this game seem like something I would have fun playing? Another good idea is to look up reviews of the game, as most game reviewers talk about what in the game they enjoyed and what they didn't. Now, just as an example, let's say that when I asked my friend for an action-adventure game that has some challenge in it, he suggested to me the games Undertale and Twilight Princess. Now, looking at these games in order, let's start with Undertale. For From what I can see from the gameplay, there seems to be a wide world to explore. However, I'm not seeing a whole lot of action going on. This is a game that perhaps is good and something that I might even enjoy, but for now I would pass on it. I might go back to it later, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for right now. Next is Twilight Princess, and from the footage that I see a lot of different places that I would explore, as well as a fair amount of action. This is a game that I could really see myself getting into and enjoying. From here, I would get the game and see if it's an experience that I will enjoy. Now that you have these steps, feel free to follow them yourself and see if you have a good time, and perhaps experience something new in games that you weren't expecting. There are a lot of games out there, and sorting through them all might be a hassle, but hopefully it will be made a lot easier with these steps. I hope you have a great time looking. I'm the first, and hopefully this isn't the last you'll be seeing me. Thanks for watching.